Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome back to our watch club for Star Wars Ahsoka. I didn't expect to see you so soon. Welcome back to Watch Club. My name is Nate, and this is our Watch Club for Star Wars Ahsoka Part 4, titled Fallen Jedi, directed by Peter Ramsey. If you're joining us for the first time, this is Watch Club, our weekly review series, kind of like a book club, but way better. Keep in mind, we will be going into full spoilers for this series and Star Wars in general, so if you haven't watched this week's episode yet, what are you doing? Be sure to do so, and then come right back in less than 12 parsecs. Now, before we all get sliced in half and explode, let me introduce you to my Rebel crew joining me today. And if you're familiar with our Bad Batch watch clubs, you'll recognize these batches. First up, he is no Jedi. He's Justin the Lothcat Lawrence.
I am excited.
This episode had you're purring away.
I'm purring away. Purr. I am
hear it.
ready to talk about this episode. I have stayed quiet, so yes.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about it yet. That's not normal for us.
I've avoided you, yeah.
Thank you.
Like the plague, so.
Yeah, just for that reason, though, right? Not because... Okay. And docking down, declaring droid in dank pendants, he's Darcy, the dank Dathomirian Hudson.
Hello. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. How's it going? You doing good?
Yeah.
You recovered after this insane episode 4, insane part 4?
Yeah, I mean... I thought it was good. I'm not... Big things happen, I guess? Yeah? I don't know.
Big things.
We'll get into it, yeah.
Big things happen. Bigger than Purgles, it seems. But also making a surprise appearance out of the forest mist. She's both master and apprentice. She's Megan, the mindful midichlorian counting Clara!
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Missed you on the Watch Club so far for a show that, like... I mean, out of everyone you're wearing, you've got Ahsoka on your shirt. You know, I'd imagine.
I feel like I had the hype for this leading up to it, and it started a little flat for me. If you watched our spoiler-free review, I wasn't as stoked about the first 2 episodes, but we have come back to having the hype, and I'm very excited.
We're there. All right. Well, now listen. Recently and normally, I would start these watch clubs off with like a question related to the episode, kind of a silly question. But this episode was just so good. I want to get just straight to it. So I'll skip the question of the week. But with that said, I do want to quickly pause to remind you listening that we here at Geekcentric support the WGA and SAG-AFTRA as they strike to get the contract they deserve. Without incredible writers and actors, we wouldn't get all the wonderful stories like the ones from a galaxy far, far away that we love so much. So if you want to support the actors and writers of the things we love, you can do so by checking out the links in our description. I was talking to Justin today about how just phenomenal everyone's response has been to this episode and how they're all praising the Dave Filoni, the Mortis god that is Dave Filoni. And Justin reminded me, he's not only a director, he is also very much a writer. So definitely we need to support these people, get them what they're owed. But let's get into part 4 titled Fallen Jedi. We start off this week right where we left off as Huyang, Sabine, and Ahsoka are attempting to reach communication with Home One and Hera while also trying to repair their downed ship on the planet's surface of Cetos. Sabine finds Ahsoka outside, and Ahsoka tells her they face a difficult choice, that if they can't make the journey to find Ezra, then no one should. Sabine doubts that it'll ever come to that, and Ahsoka asks her if she can count on her. Sabine says she knows she can, and Huyang asks if everything's all right. He begins to work on the ship while a dark presence stalks them in the distance. Shin and Marok inform Morgan and Baylan of Sabine and Ahsoka's location, and Baylan tells them to move in, and Morgan asks Baylan if she senses fear in his voice, and he responds by saying, "Experience." Alrighty, so let's start off here, and I want to discuss this conversation between Sabine and Ahsoka. Megan, do you really think that Ahsoka would let Ezra, sort of stay stranded? And what did you think of the line drop, heir to the Empire?
Well, to be totally honest, I mean, we watched this episode together, Nate, and you
Yeah.
full out said Dumbledore because the way Ahsoka talks to Sabine is very much in these like wise old riddles that make sense but are like weird and convoluted, and like her saying, you know, Ezra being the one person that maybe we lose in order to save the many is very similar to the way Dumbledore raised Harry for slaughter, quote unquote, because, you know, you're putting the greater good, you're putting the larger universe ahead of one specific person because she is experienced, she is wise, whereas Sabine only cares about her family and her friend. So I totally think that conversation was really reminiscent of their relationship. I've started rewatching Rebels again because I felt like I needed to understand the Ahsoka from Rebels, not the Ahsoka from Clone Wars, which is my favorite show. And I'm getting it now. I'm feeling that that experience, that sort of stoic epicness that she is. She's adult, she's grown, and Rosario Dawson is doing such a phenomenal job in this show, as we all, I think, feel the same way. Heir to the Empire, though, I mean, yes, but also bigger than the Empire, I feel. Or we're talking about Thrawn with that line, right?
Totally. And
Yeah.
I mean, Darcy, you're more of the background on Thrawn, I think, for our group at least. This is referencing the Timothy Zahn novel, right?
Yes, the first book that Thrawn appeared in back in the Legends when they were just extended universe and actually canon. He was the big baddie that was the episode 7 to the story of Star Wars, and it led on to an amazing trilogy with Thrawn being the greatest villain to come from Star Wars. And I don't know, I just that line felt very heavy-handed. Like I said, some of these one-on-one interactions between Ahsoka and other members, anyone else, it feels so weird. She is too wise and wizardry, and I don't know. I'm not digging it, honestly. The more she's acting like this, I'm just like, this is getting a bit old. Last time we thought she was getting better when she started working with Sabine, and then she goes back to this answering questions with other questions or riddles, and it's like, fuck this bullshit. Just like, why? Just tell her the truth. What are you thinking? You're not just thinking of other questions. You have some answers. Share them. That's all I'm getting at. So yeah, I'm again, more and more of these Ahsoka one-on-ones are making me like, damn it, this is really irking me. I feel like she is missing the point of what this show is trying to explain about how it's working together. You're stronger, and she keeps putting up walls. I don't get it.
But I think that she still has things to overcome herself. That's what's clear about
But
this.
you can't be angry at Sabine for not overcoming those things. Like, it's so hypocritical. I'm sorry. I hate it.
But like, she's looking at a Padawan and judging them. Who's judging her? Her master. She left her master. Her master is no more. Right?
Because she didn't agree with the whole Master Padawan thing either. That's another thing. She left the Jedi Order. So
I think that we're seeing a flawed Ahsoka. We're not seeing a complete Ahsoka. And I think that's the importance. In this episode specifically, as we discuss, I think the character journey for both is sort of paralleled. Her kind of talking this way and being direct and being blunt is very much a byproduct of, you know, obviously her becoming more of a Jedi and falling into Jedi-isms, but I think it also has a lot to do with how weathered she is from all these years of being alone. And to your point, Meg, she's willing to sacrifice Ezra and sacrifice that personal attachment, which Sabine obviously can't. So it immediately sets up the stakes as where Ahsoka is standing on the situation and where Sabine is standing. So it was great. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think at this point in her life, as much as she cares about Sabine and as much as she knows Sabine cares about Ezra and finding Ezra, I do really think, she totally, to prevent another war. And I also wonder if she has some kind of notion or belief somewhere in the deep recesses of her mind that that this isn't the only way to find Ezra, right? You know, she knows of the world between worlds. She was there with Ezra in the past. So, you know, she's been studying. We talked about the fact that she already knew, you know, about she knew about the world between worlds and the pathway to Peridia when she, I think, was in the hospital, and she sort of leaned in like she already knew what Sabine was talking about. And I just feel like, you know, stopping evil is her first priority. And then everything else kind of comes second to that. I also think that it might be a little bit extra frustrating for Ahsoka, kind of what you're talking about, Justin, where she's recognizing that, you know, this is kind of tapping on the Jedi ideal of not having attachments, right? And so this is her kind of saying, you know, she's very much, I don't believe in what the Jedi believed, but then sort of having to succumb to the idea that, well, in this instance, I kind of have to go along with the idea that Sabine shouldn't have attachments. And whether or not like she fully believes that or that's right or wrong is another thing. But I just think that that's kind of where her mind is in this moment. And I do love the bookmarking moments with the dialogue, or I guess it's more foreshadowing, but just, can I count on you? And I mean, obviously not.
Yeah. It's another thing too. Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about it, Darcy. We'll get there. We'll get there. You can. We were all screaming here watching it as well. But back on the ship, Ahsoka reminds Sabine that sometimes we have to do what is right regardless of our personal feelings, which is where I said Dumbledore. Outside the ship, Hu Yang senses danger and is attacked by an HK assassin droid. He purposefully knocks out the motivator that he had just repaired to warn Sabine and Ahsoka, and they rush into combat. After Ahsoka asks Hu Yang to prioritize the transmitter above everything else so he can contact General Syndulla. And he agrees, asking one thing in return, that Sabine and her stay together. The music swells as they rush off into the forest. So, Justin, let's talk about this attack here. What an incredible sequence. What did you think of this moment, finally seeing all three of these characters fighting together for the first time in this show?
Well, Hu Yang definitely held his own.
And Rock'em Sock'em Robots, dude?
Yeah, and he delivered at least. Like, he wasn't, he was definitely overtaken, but he stood his ground, and that's great. He didn't, like, just fall into being a protocol droid. The choreography within the fight between Ahsoka, Sabine, and the MK, or the HK assassin droids was perfect. It's the first of many well-choreographed, well-thought-out action set pieces that we will see throughout this episode. And the first one was amazing.
Incredible.
Like when she grapples that HK and then pulls and then
in?
Ahsoka just that's awesome.
That was some humanoid alien, by the way.
Yeah.
There was HK assassin droids and regular guards.
Yes, those were guards.
So,
Yes.
But still,
Yes.
I mean,
I know.
phenomenal.
I was going to say, there are lives lost, not just electric ones. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. But coming to the end of this scene with Hu Yang, again, we were talking about it in the other episodes, but there's such a wisdom, and I just love this continuity with Star Wars, that the droids are the wisest when it comes to human interactions, and they're delivering like such honesty and sincerity with heart. And I loved that Hu Yang was the one to say, "Stay together. You always do better together." I just loved it. It put a huge smile on my face and it warmed my heart. It was great.
Well, the Rock'em Sock'em Robots fight with 4 arms, he's breaking out all 4 arms. But then, Justin, like you're saying, like droids always being sort of a constant and a consistent sort of character, even whether they're an R2, an R5,
but they're always giving
Chopper.
The wisdom and the guidance to the humans, right?
Yeah, but
like,
also the fact that this is also he knocked out the motivator, right? Which is a lovely subtle callback to the way that another droid, R5, right, with a bad motivator, he used that to ensure that R2 was able to get the message to Luke. Like, it's just, again, it's such these little tiny little ways that they're writing this in, I thought was so fantastic. And yeah, Hu Yang, shout out to Hu Yang.
Hu Yang made me sad when he was like, help.
Oh no, I know.
It broke my heart.
Yeah.
But then also, I think for me, one of the many epic moments of this episode was when Sabine said, that daft droid made it worse. And Ahsoka said, he wouldn't. Like the two lights. I like full chills. It was
Like,
so cool.
We actually rewound it and then press play again to watch that moment. And dude, I was getting Henry Cavill cocking his arms in Mission Impossible Fallout. Like that's what Ahsoka was giving in that moment.
She cocked her lightsaber.
Oh, her saber
And
is
the
so cool.
the sound of her lightsabers is so powerful and like
the rhythm is
incredible. Oh
the
my
rhythm
God.
is like deep and it rumbles, right? Like
it wasn't
cool.
just both at once. She like did one and then the other, which was like, oh wow,
perfect,
powerful. Yeah.
Phenomenal. And then I just want to quickly shout out the no look head stab behind the back into the force lifting of the other guard into the fire of another one, and then the team up, like you said, Justin, where Sabine uses her van brace to just pull that guy into Ahsoka's sabers. Like, yeah, dude, the choreography. Who is this choreographer that's making these phenomenal battles? Because, to me, it's so cool because we're seeing not just a creative way of them, maybe using the force or tapping into the light and the dark side. Like, I think honestly, lifting a person into the, fire of another person is kind of dark side. But going beyond that, we're also seeing the creative ways that they are choreographing a fight with a force user and a Mandalorian. And I think that's just so stellar. It's so cool.
Yeah. Well, like I definitely think that this has a lot to do with Peter Ramsey, his collaboration with Dave Filoni and what he's written, and the entire team behind this series, because there is such a thoughtfulness to the way things are choreographed that make it more stylish and nuanced in different sort of subgenre stuff. And I totally agree with you. Like, this moment is kind of one of the first that we see Ahsoka kind of give into the dark side a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's interesting. So,
I mean, it's not that dark side. We saw them do it with clankers all the time in Clone Wars.
But these are like
Jedi battle tactics.
These are
like
real
you said,
people.
Lives
Yes.
Lives were lost.
Lives were lost.
But if you're fighting stormtroopers, I think you do the same
Sure.
thing. Like, it's
Maybe.
evil is
Stormtroopers
evil.
are bad.
So are these people working with
guess
dark
they are.
side people? Like, come on, Nate.
No, you're right. You're
You're
And
defending
honestly,
evil people.
Listen, and this is the thing too, is where like I remember watching Rogue One, and I remember in our review for Rogue One, I kind of was really taken aback by the moment that Baze Malbus, I think, just point blank shoots a stormtrooper in the head as he's on the ground, or they're on the ground, and it was like, oh gosh, there's darkness on both sides of this conflict.
But I think what's cool about this series and the two, like the bad and good of the series, is Ahsoka is a quote unquote gray Jedi.
Yeah.
So she's not really a Jedi anymore. Yes, she leans toward the light side, but still has some dark in her because she's not a part of the Order anymore. And then we have Baylan and Shin, who are, yes, on the darker side of things, but have orange lightsabers. Mm-hmm. And he's not afraid, he's experienced, and there's all those kinds of things between the two. The comparison of nobody is I'm gonna pull Harry Potter into it again. Nobody is all light or all dark. Everyone has a little bit of both in them, right? And
For
I
sure.
think this show's showing off a lot of that, which I think is cool.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and oh man, his line delivery is he's so good.
He has such a way with words. Like, some of his lines are just one word, and the way he says it, like in this scene when he says experience, it entices you to think he's lost something, he's aware. It's just crazy. Ray Stevens' performance is outstanding. It's so nuanced in something that feels real. It resonates with you, and you're like, "What happened to you? I want to know about your past.
Why are you so
Yes.
broken? Yes.
What happened to you?"
Oh
So
my gosh.
I loved that in this episode they gave him these moments to kind of unravel a little bit, right? Because there's more.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the struggle with Darcy. You're saying these conversations with Ahsoka feel like too epic. They're what I was saying before. They're sort of trying to one up each other with being so epic. Whereas Ray Stevenson's performance is like, No, he just does it.
He just does
and
it.
It's perfect.
I don't care about that at all. He is incredible.
No.
He's one of the best parts of the show. When Ahsoka's trying to be all wizardy, though, it's like, this feels like it's forced. Ray Stevenson is just doing it naturally.
You guys say like she's Dumbledore. I was thinking Gandalf.
Well, that's the thing,
Well,
too, right?
same,
'Cause
same,
Filoni,
though?
yeah, but Filoni,
Same, for sure.
Sure. Filoni is such a huge fan. And yeah, like we talked about before when she was in the white robe in Rebels, right? Gandalf
Yeah.
the White. And
When she
now
had
they're
the
kind
staff,
of,
too.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that Ahsoka's epicness maybe wouldn't feel so much if the other people she was interacting with weren't also trying to do the same thing.
There you go.
When she talks to Sabine and Sabine tries to also have these one lines, or there's one specific moment in the second episode where she's with Hera and Hera's trying to be like that too. It's just like, well, this is not who those characters are. There needs to be contrast.
Sure,
and there isn't any. So
No,
Right, and
I
I
get
think
what you're
I think that's where in episode 3 we did see that sort of let up a little bit, and
sure.
I think it's very much like we're looking at a Sabine that in this part of her life is she's trying to do right by Ahsoka. She's trying to, and I'm wondering if there's a bit of lost in translation in terms of a bit of the performance, a bit of the writing there, but
or the history between the two of them.
right, and maybe we don't have enough of that.
We don't. Well, we get a bit later, but she's broken.
Yeah.
She's very broken,
Oh, yeah.
and this episode very much unravels that. And
We're gonna get into the
Yeah,
brokenness.
yeah.
Let's keep going here. On home one, Hera, Chopper, and Jason leave without authorization, which causes Jason to ask his mom why he has to do what he's told, and she doesn't. It's such a little kid moment. She reminds him that when he's a general, he can disobey orders too. They fly off in the Ghost, joined by Carson Teva and a squadron of X-Wings. Carson reminds her how risky this mission is, as she says, once a rebel, always a rebel. And he responds with, on your signal, Phoenix Leader, and they make the jump to light speed. Darcy, what did you think of seeing Jason, your favorite character? You were so upset that he wasn't in the first 2 episodes, and now he's becoming a main character in this series. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm back on the team bad mom. I'm sorry. Carson Teva explains how risky it is.
Yeah, and she's like,
they
come
leave
on,
the safety
son.
of the entire rebel fleet, and they're like, no, I'm going to take my son to one of the most dangerous places I could think of at this time.
Yeah.
No questions asked. I don't get it.
I don't know either.
I don't get it.
It's funny because we were saying like she's such like she's like, oh, we really don't want him to. We thought she doesn't want him to become a Jedi because it's so dangerous. Like this is just as dangerous.
It's even more dangerous. Like they've confirmed how dangerous this is. So it boggles my mind. That being said, I do like Jason. He's a charming little kid. I want to know more. I'd spend time with him. So plus him and Chopper seem like they'd be a good little buddy cop adventure type thing. So I want that.
Bottleneck episode, Chopper and Jason. There we go.
And they're lost. That'd be great.
So good.
It was hard for me to not get a little teary-eyed watching this, and like just to see.
Oh, you and your dadness, Justin. It's
Well, not about Jason, but like I'm
okay.
interested in seeing. I just mean the idea of
Carson
seeing.
Teva. You saw Paul Sun Young Lee, and you were like, yeah.
No, to see her
crying.
get in the Ghost and like be called
dude.
Phoenix Leader.
Yes.
It's all live action. It's this moment, they're getting ready to do a rebel style adventure because she says once a rebel, always a rebel.
Huge.
Fuck yeah. Like that's great. And then they're going on like a mission against the orders of everyone else. It calls into the idea that the New Republic, they're getting cocky. They feel like they have control over the situation, and you have people like Hera that are still gonna poke at what's still out there to make sure that nothing comes back, like Ahsoka and the rest of the team. So this was a cool moment for like I think Rebels fan, not to get like I'm literally almost done Rebels, and it's just great to see it and to see that they're going on an adventure, and who knows what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and I kind of like I love that. I love that he mentioned Carson Teva. By the way, Paul Sun Young Lee, like.
Woo!
Phenomenal. He's such a huge Star Wars fan. It's so delightful to see a fellow Canadian, fan show up in these stories. And the fact that he calls Hera, like you said, Justin, Phoenix Leader was awesome because I think it's the fact that she's still using that call sign, giving how much traumatic weight is, comes along with that name, I think just says so much about Hera and her leadership and where she's at in her life at this point. But yeah, I didn't expect Jason to become a main character. I thought he was going to like walk up the stairs and then we'd never see him again. And then that was it. But the fact that he's going to be on these adventures, I think is really cool. I think it means that, I can only assume that this is a plant to get his character to be someone bigger in the future of Star Wars, or at least Dave Filoni's future of Star Wars stories coming up. But yeah, man, so cool. And then seeing Carson Teva, like this made me feel like, well, listen, who did we see along with Carson Teva the last time? And Zeb, right? Zeb's got to show up. Imagine we get Hera, Sabine, Chopper, Zeb, Ezra, and then instead of Kanan, Jason in the Ghost in live action. Like, my heart.
I mean,
we're on our way there. Like it's just, again, every little step is getting us
So
there.
stoked.
But it's great to see that it's not a rush to get us there. It's
True.
a buildup.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
slow amounts. So it's like what they're showing each time just puts a smile on my face. The episode when Zeb comes to save them because he hears that they're off on this planet or they're stuck, that's going to be a huge smile on everyone's face. Like, that's a great reveal
Yeah.
for it, rather than just having to, like, okay, let's go catch up with Zeb. He just shows up just
Yeah.
like Jason.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. We're going to see this moment, and it's just a matter of when. But yeah, the slow build to it, it's really paying off.
I mean, I feel like we're gonna
Yeah.
hear Zeb before we see him. Just something like "Sorry, I'm
Oh,
late,"
for sure.
or something
Yeah.
like
True.
that.
Sorry,
when
I'm late.
ship comes in from
Yeah.
above.
Or what's
Shoot
the
now.
like Star Wars curse that he always says?
Oh, Dank Ferrick, I'm late.
No, isn't it like
Carabash.
Ba-
Oh,
Carabash.
Carabash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
more him. You're right.
Carabash.
You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, let's Dank Ferrick. Now we're late. On Cetos, Morgan asks Balin to have faith, and he says it's something I've not had in a long, or whatever he said. He said it better. As he warns her that if their calculations are off, even by a little bit, they would be lost to the void. That sounds terrifying. She activates the map once more as it pulsates, and the countdown begins. Ahsoka and Sabine run through the forest towards where Balin and Morgan are located, but they're stopped by Shin and Merrick. They face off in a double rematch battle that splits them apart. During the battle, Ahsoka manages to slice clean through Merrick, causing their body to explode into a green mist. Sabine tells Ahsoka to go get the map, saying, "I've got this." Okay, I know this is kind of like one big sort of overarching fight sequence back to back here, but I love the fact that us geeks here and across the internet had so many theories on who Marok was, or Merrick. And it's not Ezra, it's not Starkiller, it's not time jumped Jason, it's not Maul, it's not Barriss Offee. It was just Merrick, and they exploded. What's going on here, Darcy? Does this mean, what does this mean? And then I also want to make sure we all talk about the incredible rematch between Ahsoka and Merrick and Sabine and Shin.
I mean, I'm kind of angry that no one in the Star Wars universe really thought to go this far, especially after the reveal that Morgan is a Night Sister.
Yeah.
And this person looks like an Inquisitor. How come we weren't like, oh, she just raised a dead Inquisitor to use as a bodyguard? Like, how come no one
Can I say really quickly, Darcy? I'm going to give myself a half point, because I did say zombie Barriss Offee, so I'm
You did say
half
zombie.
right. I said zombie.
You're half right. It was someone undead.
Come on.
But, like,
No, I know.
I'm also glad that it was a no one. That was one thing I did
Yeah.
say. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
someone who just for a cool moment for Ahsoka to kill and move on, and that's what happened. So that was neat. But yeah, the fact that there's a Night Sister magic, I'm mad at myself.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm like, the one thing about it is that it's fun when you can speculate, but then it's also really funny when they do something like this. And it's like, oh yeah, he's probably not meant to be anyone, other than the fact that this does bring in, the dark magic quality,
Yeah.
the Night Sisters magic. And if they had resurrected a Inquisitor to be a bodyguard, what else? Or who else could they resurrect? And I think that's more the interesting thing with seeing it, is that, again, so many people thought, who is this character? And some of them are silly. Like Ezra, no way. Darth Maul? Why would Filoni write Darth Maul back into it and ruin a phenomenal moment?
Yeah.
And this Inquisitor looks familiar to an Inquisitor that we saw in Rebels Season 2, like towards the finale, in the final battle with Ahsoka, Maul, and the Inquisitors. So it's very likely that they could have gone back to Malachor and found a body of one of the Inquisitors, because we know Malachor is important. It's the Sith temple's there. That's where Ahsoka technically dies. It just has weight and importance. So maybe the Night Sister went there to find something in relation to this star map, and that's where they found this Inquisitor body, was where that final showdown happened. So
interesting.
I don't know, like there's a fair amount of evidence that would be able to support this, but it seems weird though. Was Baylan training him? I guess not. I guess Baylan wasn't.
You're right. There's a bit of a weird thing here if it is Morgan Elsbeth's magic in particular, which I mean it absolutely is, right? The green.
He doesn't seem like a big fan of magic.
Well, no,
right?
You know what it is to me is like when Morgan in a previous episode said like, you know, is he going to, I don't know, she said something doubting Merrick's capabilities, and Baylan had to be the one to sort of say he'll get the job done.
Right.
And so, like,
exactly.
for me, I'm like, well, if you're Morgan, if you're the one that raised this person back from the dead, I feel like you'd have a deeper connection. But maybe she raised him, said, Baylan, train him or
train
what have
puppy.
you. Train this little, train this dead puppy. But I do want to just quickly mention, like, the slice through him, phenomenal. Like he's revving up that lightsaber, and then this, but dude, like the fact that it's very much Obi-Wan with Maul in Rebels, right? That death, and then the explosion and the screams, absolutely Night Sister magic. I was thinking maybe not so much a dead Inquisitor, maybe a dead Night Brother, because we do see when Savage Opress died, he turned into a green mist. So I'm thinking that's got to be maybe, and you know they've already
died, right?
But they raised him back up, and then I think he died again, didn't he? Something like that.
The green mist is just Night Sister stuff, though. So that would be anybody that's raised by them.
Yeah, I think it's more in that vein, because it doesn't really matter at this point.
No,
what matters is the
I'm
magic.
Just saying it could have been either or.
Yeah, it's for sure. But it's the idea though that I think this magic is very relevant. You know, given the fact that we've gone through so much of Star Wars and only really seen it in animated, it's great that it's kind of making a comeback.
It's awesome
in this live action form and having a place. So I feel like the more interesting part about his death is the fact that he was resurrected with some sort of magic.
And it also, I mean, like if we're worried about Baylan's association to this dead zombie risen by the Night Sister, I mean, maybe she said, "Go like find me something." And he knew of this battle that happened between Ahsoka and Maul and whatever. And maybe he knew because he was a Jedi once, and as we're all Inquisitors, right? So I feel like maybe he knew who to search for that would be a good asset to
a good host body.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, I dig that.
Yeah,
I
also think Malachor is super important. Like I think
sure.
it's super important in this whole story of the temples and where they exist, right? Because the Lothal Temple is extremely important, right, to the story of World Between Worlds. So I think these, you know, there's a significance that will maybe come back with Malachor, and especially given the fact that that's technically where Ahsoka died.
Well, it's all connected, and I just, before we move on though, Shin and Merrick standing there, and Shin takes off her robe. Is like just like the is so dope. It's so cool. You know, I think when she's against Sabine, the lighting in this episode was incredible. The green and the orange sabers clashing was so bright, and we were watching it in pitch darkness. It was amazing. And I think this entire sequence was such an on the edge of your seat experience as she was chasing Sabine, and there's that move that the saber comes at Sabine and she like falls back on purpose, like to dodge it. And I think, as much as I wish this thing was happening in Canada, they are going to be putting the next episode in theaters in the United States and the UK, which I'm like, oh, give Canada some love. But I remember after watching this episode, I turned to Megan and I was like, how phenomenal would this have been if we could have watched this in a theater with a crowd reacting? Because it was such like a huge, I don't know. It was a lot of fist pumping, a lot of like screaming. It was really fun.
I also just really liked that this is another example of a very samurai inspired choreography and fight sequence.
Absolutely.
And to your point, it's very much mirrors the Obi-Wan and Maul on Tatooine and Rebels. And it's just this sort of stand against stance, who's going to attack first, and quick strikes, and that's it. And that is so samurai. You know what I mean? Like it's not as necessarily drawn out. And so you can see that sort of refinement in the fighting style of Ahsoka and Merrick, but then Sabine and Shin, they're still Padawans.
Yes.
Figuring out their
Very much
their
so.
style.
Yeah.
And it was really great to see Sabine actually stronger with her blasters right off the bat. She's just firing and getting the advantage on Shin.
Yeah, because that's her. That's her. She's a Mandalorian. Exactly. I also think it's a really cool callback to the difference between how Ahsoka fought as a Jedi versus how she fights now, because she was so acrobatic when she was younger, and now she's much more meditative, and it's really cool to see that contrast there. It's because this moment, aside from the speed, reminds me a lot of her fight with Maul in season 7 of Clone Wars. It was really cool. The standoff there on Mandalore.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think Sabine should. If I learned anything, at least from Jedi Survivor, it's that the blaster lightsaber combo is the way to go. I don't know why she didn't start with that. You use the blaster to close the distance.
That's how Ezra started.
Yeah, exactly. It works for a reason. So, just surprised she didn't go that route. I mean, it was a really cool fight, though. I gotta say that again. The choreography in this episode is incredible. So
good.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted, before we go further here, Morgan says the line, "Have faith." And I don't know about you, but I heard like a deeper version of that voice somewhere. It could have just been in the score. I don't know what it is, but it gave me very like Mother
Night
Talzin
Sister,
vibes, right? When she talks.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's one of the things that the new Rockstar video that they posted, I think just yesterday.
Yeah.
They talked about as well as just this bass.
It sounded kind of right. I had to rewind it a few times.
Yeah, so I feel like I think there's probably an emphasis there that's meant to kind of exaggerate that in a way.
Maybe she's like a direct descendant
of Mother Talzin. Whoa,
that's crazy.
Whoa, but she doesn't have little horns like Darcy does. All right, back. Let's keep going here.
The Night Sisters didn't have horns.
Oh, true, they didn't. You're right. Okay. Morgan heads back up to the Eye to prepare for the jump, while Baylan guards the map. Ahsoka slowly approaches him as he waits for her arrival. He says Anakin spoke highly of her, and that everyone in the Order knew Anakin Skywalker, but that few lived to see what he became. He asks if that's why she walked away, abandoned him. He says he's there to secure a future for something far greater, that he's not going to be starting a war, but that Thrawn will, and that one must destroy in order to create. They ignite their lightsabers and circle each other, taking different stances as they attempt to anticipate each other's next move. As the calculations are being completed back on the Eye, they duel each other as Ahsoka attempts to continuously grab the map. Once she finally does, it burns her hand and she lets out a painful scream. Back in the forest, Sabine and Shin are still squaring off, and Sabine gets knocked to the ground and attempts to use the Force. She does a little bit, and she then opts to use her wrist darts instead, which causes Shin to drop her saber, and then Shin throws a smoke bomb and decides to run away. So, Megan, this is the fight we've been waiting for. What did you think of this incredible battle between Ahsoka and Baylan? And was that a small bit of Force use from Sabine?
I mean, she definitely did. Why would Shin go poof?
Yeah,
and,
she moved back a little bit,
shoulder
right?
off to the side if it wasn't.
I think it was more of a flinch.
I think she flinched because she was anticipating.
Yeah,
but there was a sound effect. There was a sound effect that sounded like a woo.
I feel like it was.
It didn't
more...
sound like the Force used later on in the episode. That's all I was going to say. Justin,
but
sorry.
I think when she moves, she turns back slowly and says, like, "You have no power."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, because she was bracing for an attack that never came, and she's like, "Oh, why'd I brace? You have no power."
Exactly.
That's
or it was like a shoulder brush, and she was like, "That's all you got."
Yeah.
Well, if in Rebels, in Trials of Darksaber, where she's training with Kanan, she does the same tactic. She puts her hand up and shoots her grappling hook around, and he, deflects it and calls her out for being a bit of a cheater, right? For trying to, use a trick. And I thought this was just a lovely little callback to that. And I think Kanan would be proud. But really, at the end of the day, I'm thinking maybe she's not Force sensitive. Like maybe the whole story with Sabine is that she's not meant to be a Jedi. Right? Because this is called Fallen Jedi. And who's the Fallen Jedi?
There are
right?
many.
Exactly. There's many. Is it Baylan? Is it Ahsoka?
I mean, Ahsoka fell.
literally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Is it Anakin? Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like there's a lot of fallen Jedis in this, and that's sort of what this episode is exploring, is how each of these Jedi characters have fallen.
Yes. Well, but then the other whole chunk that you just talked about, which is one of the coolest standoff fights that I've ever seen, the samurai Ahsoka and then the like medieval warrior
Yes.
that is Balin, who just has these like big giant hands and like stiff intense movements. Oh my god, it was so cool.
well done.
His lightsaber's thicker than Ahsoka's. Like, the blade of his lightsaber was thicker than Ahsoka's. It was like a broadsword that he was just smashing down on her. Like,
Yeah.
oh, the weight behind each of his strikes was incredible.
Yeah.
Such a good fight.
And you're absolutely right, Meg. Like, it had a medieval quality to not just his stance, but like as Darcy's saying, the sword. It's just so massive, right? In those sort of Game of Thrones style, you know, when they have those huge swords.
It's like a claymore. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right?
he was
So
very
he's
much. He was
wielding it.
given. What's the guy in Game of Thrones, Darcy? That I can't remember his name. The big guy.
The mountain.
The mountain. He was kind of
Mountain?
given the mountain vibes. I will say, like his, even to the point where his armor. Like I think this is the first time that I've kind of really gotten a good look at his armor, but I love that it's very much like the armor that the Jedi would have worn during the Clone Wars, which is when he may have left the Order. And then I also really like that, like, yeah, it's kind of like he looks like a knight. He's so regal, he's so powerful, but he also seems to fight with respect. And I'm watching this for the second and then third time. I was like really stoked, but I was also like, I'm just really bummed out that Ray Stevenson won't get to see the incredible response to this character. He's absolutely incredible in this role, and seeing him sit there just with the robe on, it's so Qui-Gon, and I just, oh man, it was just so
He's
cool.
giving, yeah, he gave a fantastic performance, and I'm excited to see more of his character.
Yeah.
But this is yet another example of like, what is your past? I want to know more.
Yeah.
Like, geez, like his character is so interesting.
Oh,
and to
dude,
your point,
Tales of the Jedi season 2,
there you
Balin
go.
storyline.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. I'm in.
I'm in.
And I think I think honestly, if you want to continue that story, that would be such a great way
Through
to respect
animation.
that character and
Yep.
make him live on. And I think that's fantastic. So, but yeah, this is another, a third, maybe even fourth lightsaber duel that we've gotten in a 40-minute episode.
it's so good.
And it's so well choreographed. It's so well choreographed.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And another epic conversation, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
works this time.
Yes.
Yes, because it's wizard against
She
wizard.
found the right partner to,
Yeah,
to wizard off
exactly.
against.
Yes,
it works.
exactly. Well, you think about the Jedi Council, right? You know, when
They
they're
talked
sitting
about-
around
Yeah,
and
all the-
debating,
yeah,
that's
and
true.
like Mace Windu and all of them are just like, and then they would, wise words, yes. Mace Windu would drop some knowledge. Very true,
Yeah.
Mace. Right? So I get what Filoni's
Mace Windu's
dude,
like,
but-
these motherfucking Sith. But yeah, no, I get it. I think that really works, especially calling out the regal medieval style that is Balin. The different sounds of their sabers, they were humming, in
Tones
these
were
two
so
tones that were
different,
so
yeah.
different and so cool. And at one point, Ahsoka,
Harmonize.
It did
They
sort of sound like
harmonized
they
too, yeah,
harmonized.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love how Ahsoka at one point is holding her saber with one saber with two hands in a way that looks almost like it's like heavier, like very samurai pose. And I also want to shout out, and I mentioned this while we were watching, Megan. I was like, I turned to Megan, I'm like, Rosario Dawson's face. And I think that's all I said. In this fight, she just looks so badass the entire time. And she
Yeah.
gets to use some of her own skills in this fight. And I want to watch this scene again and again and
Over
again.
and over. I
So
know.
good.
And they're both so patient with each other through the whole thing. There's no like,
There's
Yeah.
respect there.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
respect in the way that they're fighting. You said it. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
there's you can see it in the way that it's all going down.
Yes, and then sorry, just one last thing here though. The way that that Ahsoka had to like push off against the rock behind her to be able to get like to push.
She angled her
Bailey-
legs.
Yeah, she puts her
Like,
leg
she
up
angled
on the
her legs
rock
so
It's
she could get a little
so-
more space.
It's so cool, and like just and then the moment he uses his brute strength to just push her down, I'm just like, and then her saber. Okay, sorry. It's so good.
You literally just looped around just to gush more.
I just need to talk more about it. Okay, the calculations are now incomplete because the map was taken out. We see a now injured Ahsoka holding off Balin's attacks. Shin gets back as Balin commands her to get the map. Ahsoka force throws Shin into a rock, and Sabine grabs the map and holds it at gunpoint. Balin, with one final swing, knocks Ahsoka over the cliff as Sabine screams, "No!" Very Luke.
Simba,
yeah, all them. Balin uses the Force to sense Sabine's fears. Fears that, like, Ezra Bridger is the only family she has left. It's what's holding her back. And that her family died on Mandalore because her master didn't trust her. He reminds her of their common goal to make the journey to Peridia. He promises no harm will come to her if she joins them, and that it's the only way. She longingly looks at the map before handing it over to Balin, and once she does, Shin begins to force choke her. Balin commands Shin to release her, which Shin does, but begrudgingly, and Balin activates the map once more, allowing them to complete the calculations for the hyperspace route. Okay, so two things here. One, what did you think about finally getting a bit more information on what happened to Sabine's family? And what do you think of the decision to hand Balin the star map?
Well, I definitely think that, I mean, it's not surprised that Sabine's family died. They were Mandalorian. They were a very prominent, high family in that culture. When Mandalore fell, they were obviously falling with it. What I think probably happened was that Sabine was training with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka didn't let her return because she wasn't ready to face that type of fight. It was maybe trying to protect her. I don't know. And I feel like maybe that's where that first falling out came from. So again, hopefully we get to see a bit of that because I'd love to. And I think it's really neat that we're going to be that could be where that original fracture came between the two of them, because we see how much family means to Sabine. And that's why Ezra is so important to her now, even, compounds more on top of that. Now, you said that as soon as she drops the map, Shin starts force choking her. That's not the case, my friend. I feel like this is maybe just me justifying why she gave it over, because I really hate that idea. I think Balin was kind of almost using the Jedi mind trick on her.
Yes,
really?
Coercing her. Well, yes, because as soon as she drops it, the fact that the startled and alarmed look on her face, like, what have I done, is not the look of someone who.
And then she went into choking mode. I saw it too,
and
Darcy.
Then she choked after that.
I saw that.
So if that's the case, I hope we get that explained, because then that makes her handing it over much better. But again, that it goes against what she said earlier in the episode. So I'm really hoping that was just the coercion coming from Balin and not her just completely forgetting her promise.
Yeah, because he dials right in. Like, he stops.
Into her.
He closes his eyes. There's a pause, and he brings up Ezra Bridger right away. He knows everything instantly. And I think it goes to show the strength that Balin has to wield the Force. And yeah, I think when she hands over the map, there's this sense of like, oh my God, what did I just do? And then she goes into choking mode. I did see that as well. But I also think, again, like, leaning back into what I was talking about before, she might not be a Jedi. Do you know what I mean? Like, she very well might not be a Jedi. And I'm wondering if, again, that might be the lesson that, to Sabine's character in a way of letting go, to let go of that and to kind of go back to a sense of her own understanding of who she is rather than who she wants to be. So embracing her Mandalorian heritage yet again, and abandoning this idea of being a Jedi. Even when Kanan was training her in Rebels, it was more about training her to be a leader and to wield the Darksaber, not to be, overly Force sensitive. He always said he senses the Force in her. She just has to open up. But I think that there's something interesting in Sabine kind of coming to this realization that she is no Jedi and that she has no power to be that, but she has power as a Mandalorian, and I think that could really matter.
Well, I think the other interesting aspect about this too is the fact that, because I remember when we were watching The Mandalorian, and we see all these Mandalorians getting together, and especially in the finale of season 3, and it's like, well, where is House Wren? Because that would be a pretty prominent house. And so this is a nice way to explain, not a nice way, but a sad way to explain what happened, that their death would have probably been during the Night of a Thousand Tears, I guess, when Moff Gideon would have bombed Mandalore. And I think it's just, again, for me, though, I might be going a bit against what you guys are saying on that, because I think Baylan was absolutely right. I think there is no, like, to Sabine at least, there is no other way to get to Ezra. I don't blame Sabine. Honestly, I think if she shot the star map, it wouldn't have destroyed it. If she shot at Baylan, he would have deflected it, because he was deflecting like all her blaster shots. And so, like, as dumb as it is to trust the people who literally stabbed you in the stomach, I don't see how she could have done anything differently. And I also, we're kind of talking a little bit about how it does sort of feel like dark side stuff is sprinkled in and throughout the combat in this episode. And I gotta say, I mean, as much as I love Sabine, we've seen characters get tempted to the dark side before, and just like Anakin Skywalker, they've succumbed to it. So I'm wondering if we're sort of seeing maybe a little bit of that selfishness in Sabine, a selfishness out of a reason to find her family member Ezra, but I'm wondering if that's kind of where we're getting to.
Yeah,
oh,
for
absolutely,
sure,
but I just don't know. I'm wondering if it's more on
it.
her though than it is on him. I don't know.
I don't know.
That guy was way too in tune with the Force to just be like, okay, you're making a lot of sense. I agree with you. That just very big.
I'd agree with him.
It's like, again, it's just like, what is your past? Like, why are you so strong with the Force? Do you know what I mean? Like, again, it's just another instance where I'm like, I want to know more about where you've come from and why you're just so dialed in, right?
Yeah.
Like,
if Justin ever gets the chance to actually talk to Dave Filoni, that's all he's going to say. What is Baylan's past? Go ahead, Megan. Sorry.
Well, no, I just want to bring it back to Ahsoka in this moment where she sees Shin and her automatic response is, you've done something to Sabine, because why isn't she the one coming out, not you?
Dark side.
And the dark side in her, the passion, the emotion comes out, and she's like, bitch. And
slams her against a rock, dude.
It's crazy.
Nuts.
I mean, that reaction seemed weird to me too, because the way Shin enters that circle is not the way that someone who won a fight would enter.
Yeah, but I think the idea is that Ahsoka,
she doesn't care in that
moment. She didn't see Sabine. She saw Shin, and she's thinking there's only one outcome.
She got pissed.
She's like, this kid sucks. Like, she can't. Hu Yang says she sucks at lightsabers. So.
But see, so like, again, this in that moment is the second instance where we see Ahsoka really kind of give into the dark side, right? And then I think in a lot of ways, seeing Sabine succumb and give the map and fall to the temptation of what Baylan is giving her, she is falling into the dark side in a different way, and it is rooted in personal emotion and personal connection.
It always is.
It always is.
That's why you can't have personal connections, Justin.
No, of course. You can't be right.
Yoda himself said they were doing things wrong.
I know.
That's all I'm going to say.
100%.
No, I know.
100%.
No, but at the end of the day, I think that, again, it goes back to that sort of that idea, that conflict, right? That can you make the right decision when the person that you care about is also involved in making that right decision? And I think that's sort of the one of the sort of, I guess, overarching things within Star Wars is there's always that conflict, as you're pointing out, Nate.
Yeah.
And it's just how characters have to sort of resolve. Ezra had his own bouts of it in Rebels, right? And you see that quite a bit. So I think it's the journey of the Jedi and the journey of those of the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
Of the Star Wars. Hu Yang manages to reach communications with Hera and her rebel squadron. Baylan destroys the map, and then Shin, Sabine, and him get back to the Eye pretty quickly. With the ship at full power and the calculations complete, they engage the hyperdrive with Hera and the squadron in their path. The Eye makes the jump, causing the deaths of most of the X-Wing crew, but Carson, Hera, Jason, and Chopper survive, thank goodness. But Jason turns to his mom and says, I've got a bad feeling. He doesn't finish the sentence, which is about this, but he says, I've got a bad feeling. So thank goodness Hera, Chopper, Jason, and Carson Teva all survived. But were you at all worried that they'd get holdoed because like I was sitting there and I remember, Megan, when Jason turns to his mom, I was like, is he gonna have like a piece of shrapnel, like mom? And then he pauses for a long time, and I was like, is he gonna die? What did you think about this moment, Megan?
I mean, I definitely, now obviously having seen the episode a couple more times, there's no way that would have happened because it's just static, right? And it like threw other ships off course, which made them crash into
Thank
each
goodness
other.
they were like in the perfect area of the circle. To be able to fit. Yeah,
for sure. Not in the middle. And then we get, like you said, what happens in what episode is that?
The best one, episode 8.
The best one, 8. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I did have a little moment where I thought when Jason said, Mom,
yeah.
I was like, is he just like split open in the middle or something?
And then he turns into a green mist.
Oh my God. That would have been like, horrible.
Horrible. And they wouldn't do that. It's still Disney.
Yeah.
But I don't think he has any sort of like special connection yet, or he's not quite tapped into that like force.
I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he is. I think him saying that is, while it's a little juvenile and a kid, it's just sort of that hint of he recognizes that something isn't right now. And,
I feel like
he knows
anybody
how to articulate that.
Who watched this big giant circle disappear and all the
Probably
static would be like,
feeling.
I have a pretty bad feeling about what just happened.
I guess, but I feel like this is the wink and nod to the audience that yes, Jason does have some sort of force sensitivity, and as general and as even heavy-handed as that line might be, I have a bad feeling about this, it's still poignant, and it hints at the idea that he's got some force sensitivity.
Well, especially with the way that ship, like the way that this static or whatever happened as they passed through, and then what they left behind them, that ship was ripping a hole in the fabric of space and time. The force is not going to be the same after that. So the fact that it happened so quickly, I feel like it is more him just being like, maybe he doesn't know how attuned he is to it, but anyone who does have that connection to some extent would be like, something happened and it's not good. Like it's like 1,000 voices all screaming out at once type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yes.
When big things happen in the universe, people will feel it. And his reaction so quick makes me think that it is that force sense of connection. So
I love the visual effect of when they travel through.
Just that weird like wispy blue that's just left,
well,
it
felt like a wave.
Out.
It was a wave,
Mm.
right? Like it looked like a wave, like a ripple.
Mm-hmm.
Like they got caught in a ripple that blasted them. And I knew that at least some of them were not going to make it.
Dude, I was on edge. I'm like, if this is how Carson Teva goes out, I will be really upset.
No way,
I would
man.
Be so
they
upset.
wouldn't have done that. But like you had 4 other X-Wing, fighters. I think maybe even 5. Is it 5 or 4?
There's 5 X-Wings around the Ghost.
Yeah, so 5. So there was not all of them were going to make it out, but the important ones were.
Sure. One of them I think was played by one of the guys that actually does the body work for the Mandalorian, like the body work. He plays the Mandalorian essentially, he just doesn't do the voice.
Oh, cool.
Which was really cool. Work? He's also the son of, he does a lot of body work. He's also the grandson of, who's that cowboy?
John Wayne.
He's the grandson of John Wayne, which is so cool.
That's crazy.
But I think he might be dead.
Who's that cowboy?
Yeah. And then, Carson Teva, I'm happy he's alive. I'm happy he got to say the line, lock S-foils in attack position. Like, if you're a Star Wars fan and you've grown up as a Star Wars fan and you get to say lock S-foils in attack position, he's peaked. That's it. That's his whole life. He's reached the top.
He's sitting in an X-Wing cockpit.
Coolest
I don't
thing.
care what he says. He's already won.
It's the coolest thing. So cool. Anyways, let's keep going here. Hu Yang finally completes his repairs on the ship, but receives no response when attempting to reach Ahsoka. Okay. All right. Okay. The camera slowly floats over the water that she fell into, but then we see it sort of transition, and we see she's lying on her back, like flat on the ground on some sort of blue energy bridge. She slowly stands up, surrounded by similar light bridges and stars all around her. And while she's sort of taking everything in, she hears, "Hello, SNIPS." She responds by saying, "Master?" And then hears the voice respond with, "I didn't expect to see you so soon." She slowly turns around to reveal Anakin Skywalker standing right behind her. Oh, Anakin. We were all screaming here. I'm sure my neighbors were like, what happened in that house? It's Anakin. And I think the coolest thing is it's Anakin as Ahsoka would have last seen him in Rebels season 7, right? Very much in the same
Clone Wars.
In Clone Wars season 7, right? Rebels season 7 is not yet, hasn't happened
Not
yet.
a thing.
But in Clone Wars season 7, and I think it's awesome. But I will just ask all three of you, with the ominous Vader scene or Vader theme at the end of this scene, Justin, is this really Anakin? Is it a Force ghost, or is it someone or something else?
Well, at the time of when we're recording this is Thursday. 2 days have passed since the episode has aired, and since then, a lot of people have posted videos and theories about this. And this theory is not new, but immediately after watching it, I immediately thought the same thing. And I don't think that this is Anakin Skywalker. I think that this is actually the brother of the Immortus gods,
the son,
the son.
Sure.
And I think that he's had an interaction with Anakin. He knows who Ahsoka is because Ahsoka.
He killed Ahsoka at one point, didn't he?
Almost. Yeah.
He almost did, but then the life force of his sister or the daughter is in Ahsoka. So I think in some ways the sort of dark tendencies that we've seen from the dark side tendencies that we've seen from Ahsoka throughout the episode is what brought her to the world between worlds, because this is a sort of a special place, right? As we know, and we'll probably, I'm hoping in next week's episode we'll learn a little bit more about why and what her connection is to it. But this isn't a place that you would see a Force ghost. This isn't a place that you would see something that is sort of resurrected, even though it's sort of unclear, right? But again, New Rockstars has already posted this theory in their video, along with much of what we were talking about today. And, so same with people online tweeting about like, this can't be, actual Anakin. And I think the biggest hint is obviously that little ominous Vader theme at the end, that kind of cuts to black, that kind of makes you question, can you trust Anakin in this place? So I think my theory is that we'll still, we'll get to predictions, I guess. Are we doing predictions?
Let's just do predictions now.
I was going to say, like, how she gets to the world between worlds kind of bugs me. It seems way too convenient. I hope that next episode, like you said, we do get an explanation as to why her connection allowed her to fall off a cliff and end up here like that. As far as we know, there needs to be a portal, and only these portals appear at certain points in time. So it's just like, explain a bit more so I can get to rest how she got there. I was thinking this is Anakin, and because you said I didn't expect to see you so soon, I'm wondering if this is like shortly after she's left the Jedi Order, almost maybe something back then. Where, and the theme made me think that maybe it's Ahsoka who will again be falling to the dark side a bit more here and trying to maybe prevent the rise of Vader, prevent the fall of her master. I don't know, but like, if this is Anakin from if this is Anakin from the past, and she's just like lost or like embraced the dark side a bit more after that whole Sabine thing, losing the map, ending up here or whatever. And what if like she has like I don't know. I think it is Anakin because like Justin said, you can't have a Force ghost here or anything like that, and I don't know if the son would be able to access it being so in tune with the living force in the real world, whereas this is like outside the real world. I don't know.
I feel like he's stronger in the outside real world, right? Like I feel like,
but like he's very much trapped to his planet. Like,
but is he trapped? Because I thought like they all like if I think in the episode they all kind of
died, didn't he?
They all died.
Yeah,
right. They all kind of.
But then if she lives,
but
if
myth.
the daughter lived on through Ahsoka or through the Morai Owl or whatever, like. So then maybe there's some being again. I think the interesting, like, I have no idea how the world between worlds works. The only person in this whole world that knows is Dave Filoni. Okay, he has something in his mind that tells him how it works. But I agree with you, Darcy, that I really do want this. I love the idea of it being the son, and we brought up the Mortis people quite a bit throughout this watch club. But I just feel like it for me, Ahsoka and Anakin back together again is something that we really, really, really wanted. And so like in some instances where they won't give the fans what they want with a character like Marok being whoever, I feel like Anakin is too important to do a bait and switch there. I don't know.
He also calls her SNIPS, which I feel
Yes, which
like
Vader would never do.
Yeah.
Vader would never do that. He is killed Anakin, and he's not close enough to Ahsoka at that point to call her SNIPS. It's Anakin for sure.
For sure, it's definitely Anakin. But again, like it's not implausible to think that the brother who had an interaction, who very much was out to bring Anakin into the fold of the Mortis family in a sense, to kind of be the replacement.
Right, is Ahsoka the new chosen one and therefore his new target? Is that what you're...
Right, exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at. But not only that, it's just also the fact that, like, again, the life force of his sister lives within Ahsoka, right?
He's probably pretty
that
ticked
might
at her.
make her, well, it might also make her more important
Interesting.
than we really think, right? So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of we'll obviously find out more next week, but like I feel like if next week's episode is going to be anything, we're going to get this sort of validation of, as you said, Nate, seeing Ahsoka and Anakin together, but I think it's going to slowly unwind, and I think it's going to feel very reminiscent and memorable, and we'll see things and they'll be very Anakin and Ahsoka together, but then it's going to be like, well, wait a minute, right? And then it's going to start to reveal, and I don't know, like Sam Witwer is credited for doing voice work, but when he was asked about doing anything on Ahsoka, he says he can't say anything, right, about what he's doing, right? So if they do decide to bring in a live action version of the Son, it would be great to use him because he was the voice of the Son, right? And there are, like, again, New Rockstars is great at just breaking down and finding all these little nuances, but his voice is in some of those magic moments that you hear whispers and ominous things, and it makes sense that it's all just kind of layered in. I think they're hinting at something very spiritual in Ahsoka's journey, if you will, in this episode.
Intriguing.
I mean, I have the pleasure of watching with two Star Wars fans who only have watched live action and have no interest in going to animated stuff, and they were confused. And I feel like Anakin Skywalker is not good. I feel like, again, a lot of people are coming into this Ahsoka with not knowing anything about the character. And if you're going as deep as that, there needs to be a solid explanation in this show.
Next episode. Yes.
If it is going that route, that has to be done, because just trying to explain what the world between worlds is to my mom and my brother, they were just like, okay, what does that mean though? Like, why would I care about that? And it's just, I think a lot of average fans will probably have the same idea, is, like, again, going too far. Throwing time travel into Star Wars was a stretch in animation, and I feel like it might be a stretch in live action too, unless they tell us everything we need to know in this show. Because again, my mom and Kelly are confused, but they still have no inkling of interest to go and watch these these animated shows. That's just not what not their cup of tea. And I feel like a lot of people might have the same reaction. So
no, for sure. This I totally agree with you, Darcy. This show,
it's going too much. It's giving too much to the animated fans. And as much as I am an animated fan, I also want to enjoy this with my family. Sure. Without having to explain everything that is happening, why I'm getting excited every little moment. So.
But I think they will. They have to, because if they don't, right, then they are going to be leaving out alienating that. And I think those episodes that happened in animated will only service to kind of inform what I think the general audience is going to find out. So I don't think that they're going to abandon and just say, oh, you have to have seen it. Yeah. I just think, though, that the using Anakin as this gateway, as this bridge to help explain what the world between worlds is actually smart, because
that's
you're
why it has to
grounding
be Anakin. It can't be the Son, because if you go to that, you're throwing way too much, way too fast at all these average fans.
Sure. So if they go down that route of making it Anakin, who I still think could be the Son, I'm still going to say that, but I think that it may not necessarily matter at this point, right? It may not be something that does reveal itself next episode, but next episode I think we'll get more clarity of what it is in a sort of an understanding of for general audiences, and it'll be through the sort of journey of looking at Ahsoka and Anakin, their relationship, their past, their present, and maybe their future. And the idea of time travel, what's crazy is that, Filoni's gone on the record of saying that he doesn't really see it as a place of time travel, but obviously that kind of throws things. But it does. I know you're absolutely right. Like it does kind of, him saying that, and the fact that Ezra saved her from a different, saved Ahsoka from a different time.
Different time period. Like
it's pretty much time travel. So there needs to be a better definition to it. But I don't want to discredit the fact that the Mortis gods were the gateway to the world beyond world. So they are going to matter. It's just a matter of, to your point, how much will they actually fit that into this story?
I think my biggest thing is that I feel like the scene with the world between worlds was unnecessary in this episode. You could have ended with Hu Yang reaching out, getting no contact, and as it fades to black, you could just use "Hello SNIPS" and end on that. That would be is she dead? Is she talking to Anakin as a Force ghost? Where did she go? That speculation to me is a bit more meaningful to the fact that, she is there. Is this a real Anakin? That could have been unpacked in one episode on its own, as opposed to giving us a week to sit and stew on it. I don't know. It felt. I didn't enjoy the way that we got to the world between worlds. It felt very just out of the blue, here you go type thing.
Sure. But then I'll also give you, to the people who don't know animation and you hear "Hello SNIPS," what's that going to mean to them?
Well, I mean, if it's Hayden Christensen, you'd know it's Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think it's important that we saw him, because just to give the general audience an intrigue to continue watching the show. I also think it was a really great, mic drop moment of it being Anakin, and also as an animated fan, seeing the SNIPS in Ahsoka again, her joy
her smile,
and excitement to see her master was it made me cry. I literally teared up, and then they fell out of my eyeballs, because it was so cool to see that side of her in live action. She's always been this stoic character who has seen some shit and been through it. So she's got a wall up and she has this mask on, and to see that removed for a little bit was a really, really cool moment. So I'm okay with it.
Well, and I think it's funny, too, because we knew he would be in the show because it was all over IMDb, unfortunately. But I will say, that didn't matter in that moment. I was still shook. I was still, just taken aback. I got chills watching it even for a third time. I do think the de-aging looked a little bit off, but I mean, that could be purposeful, right? If it is a Force ghost situation, it could be purposeful if it's a projection of some sort, or if it isn't Anakin. But we'll have to wait and see. Normally we would jump into predictions here, but I feel like we kind of all made a bunch of predictions. Does anyone have any predictions that they do want to just shout out before we move on?
Well, I'm just going to put it out there. I think, if I haven't already said it, but I do think we'll get those flashback memories, and just something that allows, Hayden Christensen as Anakin and Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka in live action to reconnect as characters and remind us that the animated stories are important, and that they do serve to inform the story. And I think that, if anything, to see that moment might be more enticing for people who haven't seen animation to go now watch the animated stories. I guess we are assuming, obviously, it is the world between worlds, but I guess the one theory is maybe it's not. Maybe it's something new, right? And it's familiar, you know what I mean? And it looks like it could be that something that is it, because a lot of people, I think even New Rockstars called out, it's more blue than it is white in Rebels, right? You know what I mean? So
I think it's a live action
animation, live action,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But again, it's just this idea though, if could it be something else, right?
Especially because the world between worlds was accessed following the white
Lothwolf. Yeah.
For Ezra, yeah, but it seems to me that she accesses it by dying.
She got pulled into it by Ezra. She didn't access it that time. He pulled her in.
On Malachor. Yeah. And I think the temple, it was in the center of the temple.
Maybe the owl flew by, grew really big, and caught her, and then flew her away. I think that could have happened. Like an eagle situation in Lord of the Rings. It's all connected.
But it's to your point, this could be her Gandalf moment.
Yeah.
Like, we see Gandalf fall into the flames and then he comes
Yeah.
back a white wizard. This could be the story of how Ahsoka falls and comes back as, Jedi the White.
But she's already too white wizardy. for some
Ahsoka the
reason.
White Wizard.
Well, they took away the whole mystery of if she's alive or dead, because I mean that we didn't know Gandalf lived after he fell. It took a while
Sure.
for him to come back.
I
This
guess,
immediate
I
thing
guess.
is just there's no resonating payoff to that. It was just, again, it felt out of nowhere to me.
Oh, I got so much of a payoff. But let's get into our overall thoughts and final score for this episode, which we're going to be rating on a scale of 1 to 5 Fallen Jedi. Darcy, why don't you kick us off with your final thoughts and rating?
Yeah. No, I know I sound like I've been very negative about this episode. I just was trying to find, I was just being very honest with what I didn't like about it. And it was very much that ending for me. It felt very, it rushed and unearned. Like we didn't earn that. There was no building towards it. It just happened. And as a fan for animation, I would love to see her kind of peel back the layers and get there on her own, as opposed to just dying and appearing there type thing. That's, I guess, where I'm coming from. But again, the choreography in this episode is incredible. Everything from Balin is just so memorable. He will go down as one of the greatest Star Wars villains of all time, just because his delivery, his performance is so good. Even Ahsoka was starting to come around again. Those fight scenes for her, and even her running through the trees, looked better this time than when she was running down the side of that.
She was running from the back.
Exactly.
You could see her running.
and just the weaving and stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe it makes sense she's going slow. She's avoiding all the trees. I like
There you
it.
go.
So again, I really enjoyed this episode. The ending to me just brought it down from that 5 out of 5 it could be. That Anakin Skywalker reveal did not have the same impact because I was so bummed out about how he got it. So I'll be giving this one 4.5 out of 5 Fallen Jedi. Again, this show is incredibly consistent for me in its scoring.
There you go. Absolutely. And I mean, half of that Jedi exploded and turned into green mist. But Megan, how many Fallen Jedi are you giving this episode?
Well, it's so funny that the ending for Darcy is what did him in for half a point, but that's what got it to a 5 for me. I mean, to me, this is like finally the episode I've been waiting for. This is what I wanted this show to be. I wanted it to be epic and exciting and also still and impatient. And we got all of that in this episode, starting from a calm, secluded setting, but jumping immediately into action like 5 seconds in was crazy. We got the episode 4 that we needed. This was a perfect halfway point. We had a cliffhanger. We had epic moments. Finally, we're going to see where Thrawn is. Beautiful visuals as always, an incredible soundtrack as always, an unbelievable fight choreography that I haven't seen in a live action anything Star Wars in a while, because all we've gotten is Mandalorian, and as great as that is, it's also lacking. So it's great to have those epic Jedi lightsaber fights. Dave Filoni did what he does best. We all bow down to the king of Star Wars now. He showed us what he's made of, and my faith in this show has been restored. I'm finally watching the Ahsoka series, so I will be giving this a 5 out of 5 Fallen Jedi.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, definitely feels like, I saw a lot of people tweeting like, "Oh, Star Wars is back," and like Star Wars has been here for me through
here.
Boba
Yeah.
Fett, through everything. But for certain people, it's exciting to see that this is really working for them. Justin, how about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I think that this episode is a masterpiece of live action Star Wars television, and really does celebrate the essence of the franchise, and that has everything, like literally everything, to do with what happened before the cliffhanger ending. The cliffhanger ending is just a nice little caveat, and in my opinion, it's fan service for fan service to get the story moving. Everything leading up to that point, the balance between character-driven drama and epic action is just next level. It's weaving a compelling narrative that keeps you engaged from start to finish, both in the characters and in the larger story, with plenty of lightsaber duels, character revelations along the way. The pacing of this episode was spot on. We had 4 different lightsaber duels in a 40-minute episode, and it really didn't feel like it was rushed. It didn't feel slow.
It didn't feel like that was all that there was as well.
Exactly. It didn't feel like that was entirely what this episode was made up of. It had the right beats of emotion and just character driven again, revelations that really do help move the story along in a lot of ways. I think this is a huge testament, though, to obviously the creative talents behind this series, from the acting, from Rosario to Natasha to Ray, just giving incredible performances. But this show's ability, or this episode's ability, to deliver gripping, visually stunning, and emotionally resonating moments in an episodic format, in a format that isn't bound to a 2-hour movie experience. This is a 40-minute television episode, and it was amazing. It's like Game of Thrones level. It still has the movie magic with really nice glossy visual effects and an incredible score from Kevin Kiner. Like the way he weaves like Sabine's theme or Ahsoka's theme, or just the themes from
Vader's
theme into this at the end. It's so well done. So this was a perfect episode, and that has nothing to do with Anakin Skywalker showing up at the end. That is a great cliffhanger for this episode. It takes us to the next level. And like we were saying before, maybe it's not the world between worlds. It probably is, but who knows, right? If this is meant to be a Force ghost, maybe Anakin is reaching out. And again, next week's episode is definitely up for it. So while I appreciated seeing Anakin, it definitely isn't the reason why this episode is perfect. And I do think that the service for the fans and for those who really wanted to see this from an animation, like Darcy was saying, it is for them as well. There's also for all these other Star Wars fans who were fans of the Clone Wars and the prequels. So it does do the trick. So I think next week's episode is going to have huge turnout, and people are going to be watching at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, because they'll want to see what is going to happen next. So they did a great job with that. So yeah, 5 out of 5 Fallen Jedis. But yeah, it's perfect Star Wars television. It's Star Warsing more than any other Star Wars thing has ever Star Warsed. It's
wow.
It's great.
There's the tweet.
And Filoni is he's just writing pure fire. He's really getting to tell a story that he wants to tell, and you can see it. And Peter Ramsey, dude, the guy he's directed 2 of the best episodes in Star Wars television, in my opinion. Mandalorian season 3, episode 5, if I'm not mistaken, and here episode 4 of Ahsoka. Perfect choreography, just a sense and understanding, stylish. It's great. So yeah, for 5 out of 5.
Very cool. Yeah, Justin, there isn't a world between worlds where I do not give this episode a solid 5 out of 5 Fallen Jedi. Peter Ramsey, yeah, not only co-directed, Into the Spider-Verse, but also The Mandalorian, The Pirate Season 3. And now for me, what I think personally for me was the best Star Wars we've gotten since Rebels. And I'm so happy with the fact that we're only 4 episodes in. And we've now seen everything except for Thrawn that we've seen in the trailers, which means everything from now on is new. And I said last week that I was ready to get going. And while this episode didn't get us off CTOS until the end, what it delivered was so powerful and just shows again how well Filoni knows what Star Wars fans want. The saber battles, seeing a new Phoenix Squadron in a way, the fact that this episode felt so much like a calling back to The Empire Strikes Back, where our heroes are left at a loss, was just beautiful. And I think, yeah, Anakin Skywalker saying hello SNIPS to Ahsoka in live action in the world between worlds. You know what? I'm so happy with it. I was cheering. I was pumping my fist on the edge of my seat the entire time. The pace, the performances, the score, and the overall production of this episode was perfect. So I have no idea how they plan to keep the pace after an episode like this, but I'm so excited to see if they can. So absolutely 100%, this episode is getting 5 out of 5 Fallen Jedi.
And I know we've in the past always said like, oh, we'll give it this score but it really does depend on how the next episode lands. If it's actually a 5 out of 5, regardless of if next week's episode is a flop, which it probably won't be. But if it is a flop, I think this episode is still deserving of a 5 out of 5 because of how it handles so much of action, the visuals, the story, the characters. It's just it's so well done. It could have been a movie that, with that pacing and that tone that could have just kept going. But yeah, this is a solid 5 out of 5. You're right, man.
I'm ready for that movie. But that is it. That's it for this week's Watch Club for Ahsoka Part 4. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts, if you haven't already. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts or your predictions on the shows we cover in Watch Club, well, let me just get Hu Yang to fix our comms finally, so that Justin can finally let you know how to reach us.
Well, they can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or they can reach out to us on the app formerly known as Twitter at GeekcentricYT, or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric, and on Threads at wearegeekcentric.
Also, join our Discord. It's popping off right now. You can keep up with us about this Watch Club and share your theories with us directly. You can join by using the link in our description. Keep in mind, we have a ton of other episodes covering the latest and greatest summer releases out now, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for I Am Groot Season 2, Star Wars Ahsoka Episodes 1 and 2, Only Murders in the Building Season 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, Haunted Mansion, and Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Plus, we have a ton of great interviews that you can go back and watch with all sorts of Star Wars folks, including the cast of Andor, Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian, directors Rick Famuyiwa and Deborah Chow, and of course, Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker himself. You can check those out here on your podcast service of choice, or over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. I'm back on Twitch, twitch.tv/NatePlaysGames. You can come over, hang out with me, talk about all this stuff that we're talking about here. I'd love to talk about all your theories about Anakin and the Mortis children and all that stuff. I was recently playing Starfield. I got lost in the stars. Justin, I got arrested, believe it or not. Me arrested in space. So definitely come through and check that out. There's going to be a lot to talk about as the hot geek summer begins its transition into the cozy geek fall. We've got some upcoming reviews, and our recap of Fan Expo 2023 is out now. We've also got some additional coverage and some really fun stuff out on our socials that you can check out on Instagram and TikTok, so definitely look for those. Megan, Darcy, Justin, thank you so much for joining me for this Watch Club. And as we say,
we are no Jedi.
Jedi.